Absolute values and opposites are very easy concepts. However, a lot of times kids get them confused with each other. So let's talk about what they mean. An absolute value is simply a number's distance from zero on a number line. So it's how far away from zero on a number line that a number is. We use these long, tall brackets here to represent absolute value. And if we think about the absolute value of -3, then we know that it's going to be 3. We could start at the 0 and count 1, 2, 3 spaces away from the 0. So that means that the distance from -3 and 0 on the number line is 3. It will always be positive. Absolute value is always, always positive because it's a distance. We don't run -3 miles or drive -100 miles. Even if we ran or drove backwards, we're still covering that distance. We're still covering that space. So it is always positive. So let's give some a try. Let's pause the video and then come back and check your answers. Did you get them right? Are all of your answers positive? Absolute value is always positive. Sometimes you're going to have questions like these that you have to answer. And if you'll notice, we've got these negative signs, but they're inside the absolute value signs. So this says the absolute value of -5, which would really be 5. And we would add that to 11. Well, 5 plus 11 is 16. This problem is saying 93 plus the absolute value of 72. So that would be 93 plus 72, which is 165. The absolute value of -43 is 43 minus 29. If you have to come off to the side to work out these problems, you are more than welcome to do so. We end up with 14. 730 minus the absolute value of 79, which is 79. Again, working out in the white space to make sure that you don't have mistakes is always a great idea. You end up with 651. It's not even any different for multiplication and division. The absolute value of -7 is 7, and we can multiply that by 8, and we get 56. The absolute value, 5 times the absolute value of -12 is the same as 5 times 12, which is 60. The absolute value of -36 is 36, and we're going to divide that by 6, and we still have 6. 72 divided by the absolute value of 9 is 72 divided by 9, which is 8. So now let's talk about opposites. Opposite integers are integers that are an equal distance from 0. That means they are the same distance away from 0. For example, 7 and -7 would be considered opposites. We could count how far it is from 0 to 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 jumps from 0 to 7, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 jumps from 0 to -7. So that means that they're opposite. So now let's look at these examples. We have a positive 34. Well, the opposite of positive 34 would be -34. We have a -12. The opposite of -12 would be positive 12. The opposite of -2 would be positive 2. You can write the plus sign if you want to, but you don't have to. It's not required. The opposite of positive 64 is -64. And the opposite of -843 is positive 843. Be very careful that you don't confuse these two skills. Absolute value is always positive, and opposite is just that. It's the opposite of the original integer.